Today is July the 30th, 2014. My name is Tanya Finchum, along with Juliana Nykolaiszyn, and we're in Jet, Oklahoma today to speak with E.L. and Betty Jo Metcalf, and this is part of our Oklahoma 100, our Oklahoma Centennial Farm project. So thank you for having us today.
You're welcome.
Let's start with learning how the family came to have this piece of property to begin with.
Well, my grandmother, which is Mary Metcalf, homesteaded this place. And she didn't make the run, but my dad was probably just a little bit too young, but she had two older boys that were old enough to stake. And one of them staked in this northwest quarter of the section across the road, and the other one staked in the northwest quarter of this section. And but she did not make the run, but she homesteaded the place. She came down, I think about 6, 8 weeks after the run, and evidently these older sons had made some kind of arrangements with somebody who staked this place. So they either bought it or traded for it, and I don't know for sure what happened there. But we do know that she homesteaded it. We have that original homestead certificate. I'll show you that if you want to see it. And we have from the National Archives all the things she had to do to prove up that she homesteaded this place. And so that's how it came here, and my dad ended up with it. I think he bought it from her.
Okay.
Just the way I've always heard the story.
And her name was Mary?
Mary Metcalf.
Was she married? Well,
she was a widow and had been widowed twice. She was 57 years old before she did this.
Came from where?
Kansas.
Kansas. And then
They're Partridge, Kansas, with a little old town. I don't know if there's even anything left there or not. But it's more or less, I'm guessing here, about probably 100, 120 miles, mostly straight north of here.
And was that where she was from originally?
Well, no, she was originally born in Indiana. But
Just kept coming south.
yeah, there's a lot of Metcalfs around Partridge, Kansas, in the cemetery there. And so that's where they were living when the run happened here.
Do you know why they chose this particular
No, I don't
spot?
know.
No. So it came from her to your father.
Yeah, well, they moved, she came down and he came with, and moved over here with him.
She, well, I think my dad was about 15 years old, and I'm sure that well, I know he lived in a dugout with her. They lived in a dugout that first year. And, of course, that was in September when the run, and according to the National Archives, they built a house in 1894, and we still have the house that's right out here. And so that's how she got here.
And then did he take over running it at a particular time, your father?
He what now?
Did he take over running
Well,
it at
yeah,
a particular time?
Sometime in his life, and I don't know when, but he, like I said, I think he bought it from her, and probably, so I think that's what happened.
Before he was married or after?
Before.
When he was 15 is when he came down here to live with her on this homestead that she.
So, yeah, and so I know she homesteaded it.
Well, then how did she meet your mother? How'd your
Oh, yeah,
dad
well,
meet your mother?
My mother was from Missouri, and the old original Timberlake schoolhouse was right down there just half a mile west. Timberlake District number 69. And she came down here to teach that school. And she graduated from Walnut Grove, Missouri as the salutatorian and you could teach them, these country schools, with just a high school graduation. And I'm sure that's how they met.
Do you know where she lived when she first came?
No, I don't know. I'm a guessing though, with some neighbor, because that's the way they did
That's
in those little country schools.
So when did they get married then?
Well, we got the date, but I don't know. In
I've
some
got
of
all-
our information, we have
I've
that
got all of that stuff. I don't know how to get it for you. I've got it ready for you, but it's in the other room.
That's okay.
The one thing that's really interesting to me, when Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma, had its centennial, they started publishing little blurbs in the papers, wanting to look for Centennial Farms. So they had a telephone number, and I called, and I said, I'm living on a Centennial Farm. And they said, well, you got to prove it. So I said, how do I do that? And they gave me the address in National Archives in Washington, D.C., and they sent us back about 8 pages of legal size papers, Tells all about what she had to do to prove, they call that proving up, And like publishing in the paper and all, and like they're in that paper they sent us, they say like, one of the things they did, we built some fence, we broke out some more grass, we built the house, get a description of it, 14 by 20. So they had to do that for 10 years. You already know that, I guess.
It varies from place to place.
Does it?
So 10 years?
They had 10 years. Then they issued that homestead certificate, and that was signed by Teddy Roosevelt's secretary, but got Teddy Roosevelt by secretary. And we have that. I have that.
And that would have been before statehood then.
Yeah, that would have been in
Before we-
18. Well, I think it's 1902, because if you count 83 and then the year or two, that figures out 10 years.
What were some of the crops or produce things that they
Well,
did?
I don't know. Well, wheat was the thing, the big thing. And I know they tried corn, but it didn't work. And cattle, of course, that was a big thing, wheat and cattle.
Did they add any ponds to the farm?
Not here,
Not
no.
here? Do any conservation
There's
work?
buffalo wallows out there.
Oh,
There was a pasture east of the house, of probably about 30 acres. And there were 4 buffalo wallows in that I used to get stuck in. But over a long period of time, they fill up. And if you know where to look, I can still recognize the biggest one out there. And and prairie dogs out there.
and what year were you born?
1926.
Were you born in this
Born
in this house?
in this house, sleep in the bedroom I was born in.
That's pretty. Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have 4 brothers and 1 sister.
Well, how did you end up getting the property?
Well,
then?
Dad had several quarters, quite a few quarters, and he's made the will, and I don't know why. I was just a kid. He died when I was just a very
Well,
young man.
his name's the same as his.
Yeah,
Emery Lemuel Metcalf Jr. is what his name is, really.
and so I don't know.
Were you the first son?
That was the last one,
Last one. Okay.
and then I have a sister born later than me.
Were they interested in farming? Your
Oh,
siblings?
Yeah, they was all farmers.
Hmm.
And 3 of my older brothers are gone now, and my brother just older than I am, still alive, and sister just younger than I am, still alive.
Well, tell us about this house when you were a youngster.
Well, the way I remember this house is just like it is right now, except we built on what we call the den out here. But the rest of it is, for the structure is concerned, just like it always was. And the lighting on the house, I can remember that we had what they call carbide lighting. It's a acetylene gas, carbine and water. Carbine, I guess, is carbine. I don't know for sure how you pronounce it, but anyhow, that and water makes acetylene gas. And that we had fixtures hanging out of the ceiling that looked quite a bit like that, with an open flame. You can imagine that. Pipes through the ceiling, you know, and coming in. And then we had the coal oil lamps, and then in the late 1930s, the rural electrification came in. Well, before that even, Dad put in what they call a Delco 32-volt electric system. And it's a generator, you know. It's like a generator. It was set out here in the old house. It wasn't a house then, of course, being used, but and it, Mother had, as far as I can remember now, she had a refrigerator, an iron, and a toaster, and that's it for electricity is concerned. And then when the REC came in, or rural electric, I guess, of course, then a lot more appliances, you know, and lights and stuff like that. So it's had, well, lanterns and the carbide and the 32 volt, and now the rural. Had 4 different lighting systems in this house that I can remember, and I'm sure that's all.
And how was it heated?
We had coal stoves and wooden stoves, and chimney coming out the top, of course. And mostly, I can remember, it's mostly coal. And
Did it stay warm in your bedroom?
no, we, Mother would heat bricks up, just these red building bricks, wrap them in paper, and we'd take those to bed with us when it was really, really cold, put them at our feet, you know. So.
No, in fact, after we were even married, our kids can remember real plain. We'd take a glass of water to bed and it'd be ice in the morning. So that was our children even. So that's how
We
cold
never
it
had
was.
heating upstairs,
Until now.
but
We have
well, no,
everything.
we put a stove in the wall in the hallway.
Yeah, we
remember, Betty?
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
So
So you got dressed really quick in the mornings.
yeah, we did.
Did you have to share a room?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I had with an older brother, bedroom with him.
And the bathroom was outside, probably?
No, well, we had one like that too.
For a long time. Yeah.
We had originally the bathroom was upstairs, and
No, it was outside.
well, yeah, no
That was a long
probability,
time.
yeah. But as more kids come along, it's been built. The house has been built onto twice. The back porch, what we call, and the utility room and the bathroom. And when they moved the bathroom downstairs, which I don't remember that was before my time, because they needed a bedroom, so they built this one, put the bathroom down here. But yeah, we had a stove, heating stove that was here, and I can just barely remember that Mother's cook stove was it was a coal or wood. I think it was wood. You know, you've seen these old-fashioned ones that have the lids on top, you know, and had a little water reservoir for hot water. And of course you pull the lid open for the oven, you know. That, I just barely can remember that. It's set right here in the corner of the kitchen. And then Mother had a coal oil stove, you know, that they burned with kerosene or coal oil for a cook stove. And so that's what I can remember about, you know, how it was early on there in my memory before I was almost last one long, so, you know.
What were some of the things she would cook on that cook stove that you remember?
You know, I don't really remember on that stove. I don't think she had it, but maybe just a year or two along my memory, you know, she had something different, something better.
Or what were some of the favorite things she fixed for you, though?
Well, you know, of course, I always say I was raised on mashed potatoes and gravy and green beans and fried chicken, you know. Because that's what a lot of people had, easy to raise chickens, you know, and had a garden and that sort of thing.
She did a lot of canning.
Yeah, she did some canning and how she, you know, I get thinking about Mother. 8 people here living, you know, and the cooking and you know, the cleaning and the laundry and all that. Lots of people did it, you know.
Tell me where she did her washing.
Yeah, well, my memory is the house. Mother had it for her wash house, you know. And she had a stove out there to heat the water. It was a little stove with one of these, seen these big black kettles sitting on top. And the kids would pump the water out of the cistern. She wanted, because that rainwater, soft water, you know. Fill that up for her hot water to wash with, you know. And I can remember rendering lard in it, you know. And
That's out here in the house that they
yeah.
first made, and then they had this stove in the middle with this great big kettle, and that's where they made their soap.
Lye soap.
Yeah.
And then she'd do her washing.
I still have that old kettle, I guess. Well, I don't really give it to our youngest daughter.
She made a flower garden out of a flower.
And then hang it on the line. Hang all the clothes on the line.
Oh, yeah,
On the
right.
Here,
And we used to have a telephone that hung on the wall, you know, ring it. And of course, it was a party line, you know. However many was on your party, you could listen to it.
Do you remember your rings? How many,
Oh, yeah,
how
it
many
was
years
long, short, and long.
There you go.
So that went.
I've got,
RF55 was our number.
I've got 4 of the different phones that we have used upstairs. I'll show it to you if you want to go up.
Yeah. Things have really changed amazingly.
And what were some
Really?
of your chores as a child, youngster?
Oh, yeah. I never did milk any cows. There were cows milked, but Dad gave that up for us. Well, I just milked a cow when Betty and I was first married for a few years, you know, for just our home use, just one cow. But we never were into milking, to speak of. And Dad was a wheat farmer and cattle, and that's just what this country was. You can just say this country's wheat and cattle. Up until the last few years, they've come in with different crops. But it's just wheat and cattle country.
What do you remember about your first tractor experience?
Well, my first experience really, and I was probably, I don't know how old I was before I first went in the field, but I can remember staying home and helping Mother do some things because of all, you know, her workload, you know. So I probably was about 15 before I drove a tractor, I imagine. And it was to a combine. It was a little case tractor pulling a combine. And then old John Deere tractor was probably the first one I was in the field with, I imagine. Then I had Oliver tractors, and K's, and different tractors.
Did you have to do a few chores before you went to school each morning?
Yeah, we did. And after I got home from school too.
He'd say when company would come, she'd send them out to get a chicken, and that's what they'd have for dinner.
Well, yeah. Mother, we had a dog when I was a kid, and even as a young man. His name was Rover. And of course we had chickens, and we just give them free range, you know, after they got about so big. And Mother, when the roosters got big enough to eat, you know, that's what we'd have, fried chicken. They'd be killed, and an hour later they'd be on the table, you know. But this dog, he liked to catch those chickens, and we would take him with us, and we'd point him out one, and you know he knew which one to catch. And then about the time we'd reach down to pick it up, a lot of times he'd let it go because he wanted to catch it again, you know. And you know that dog, I think he was about 16 years old when he died. He'd never been to a vet. He'd never had dog food in his life. He just lived on kitchen scraps all his life. And he lived that long if I'd ever seen a vet.
That's why he has such a fit about all the how people take care of dogs now.
But we used him with the cattle and stuff like that. And you know, with 5 boys, he was always out. There was always something going on. That dog liked to be with them, you know.
He wouldn't chase the chickens unless you told him to?
That's right.
Did you have a method for killing the chicken?
Yes, Mother ran her neck.
Mother, you didn't? Your mother did?
My mother did.
That was hers. I'm assuming she stopped teaching school when she had all of these kids.
In all probability.
Yeah.
And they'd walk to school, and he'd say when they were on their way home, he could smell bread and cookies and everything. He always remembers just walking that distance, smelling
Yeah.
what she made for them before they got home.
So where did you go to elementary school?
Down here in Timberlake, the little country school I was telling you about.
Was it
I went there 5 years,
Okay.
and then we got transferred to Jet High School. It was grade school and high school combination.
Had to ride a bus then, or?
We did. We rode a bus. Came right by here.
And what would you take for lunch?
It was just a sack lunch like we always took down here too, you know. I can remember an apple or an orange, but I don't remember what else. I'm sure Mother had sandwiches, you know.
Leftover chicken?
Well, probably. Probably.
But no refrigeration down there, I bet. We wouldn't think of doing that now, would we? Leave our chicken out all day.
So what year did you graduate from Jet?
1944 from Jet.
But during about the wartime, were you?
Yeah, that was, let's see, the war ended in 45, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I never went into the service, and I always regretted that very deeply, but my dad was sick, and actually sick, and really bad sick for I don't remember, 2 or 3 years, and 3 older brothers that went, and they asked me to stay home, you know. And I don't think I think it was in 45 wasn't it 45 when the war ended?
I think it's around in there.
Right, yeah.
And so I graduated in 44, but I did a lot of work while I was here.
Well, one was in the Marines, one was in the Air Force, and the other one was in the Army. They were all gone except for him.
And they all made it back?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did.
So tell us how you two met.
Well, we were in school together. Yeah.
I moved to Jet in the 5th grade, only I was 1 year behind him. And then we just went to school together, and then into high school. We started dating, what?
Yeah, in high school.
Junior,
I guess.
senior.
Probably,
in high
I was
school.
probably a senior. And
And you got married when?
47.
How did he pop the question?
Well,
I think it was
How did
kind
you
of mutual consent.
yeah. I don't think we had any just great romantic way of doing it.
We need each other too well, I guess.
Yeah. We just knew that was what we were going to do. But I went to college for 2 years, and then we married, and then I went back to college and finished mine over at Alva. I went 2 years over here and 2 years, plus a summer over here at Alva, and finished mine. And then I taught for 7 years, second grade.
By over here, you mean OSU?
Well, by
or-
that time, Jet and Helena, Jet and Nash were together. So I taught in that combination. I taught at the Nash School.
Okay.
It was the combination of Jet and Nash.
So your first 2 years of college were where?
In Stillwater, OSU.
Yeah, you asked if there might be a graduate, OSU graduate. A graduate, we've got 10 of our family that graduated OSU.
Mm.
Counting our children and our grandchildren and their wives and our grandchildren.
A little bit of orange in that blood.
Yeah,
isn't
there
there?
is.
You bet. Yeah, see the orange and the red. We got 2 red ones, and it's really a rival.
3,
Oh,
Tammy and Kimberly and
Ty.
Kai, you know.
And did you go to OSU?
No, I
One semester.
well, yeah, that was more of a vacation than anything else. But I just barely found my way around campus. Anyhow,
He put 5 of us through school, so
we have,
It counts.
4 kids and me.
so,
So in 47, when you got married, did you come to this house then?
yeah, mother moved, mother lived here, and she moved to town, and we moved in.
And you started,
Been here 66 years now.
and take us through some of the changes that you implemented on the farm over that time period then.
Well, you know, I haven't built a lot of stuff, and we've just tried to keep up with what was here, you know, keep it good. I built a barn and a shed.
Back then, they had to pay inheritance, and it was, you know, they had to. So he had to really work to help pay for all that too.
But, so really I haven't built a whole lot, but just tried to take care of what was here.
Did you participate in any of the soil conservation efforts
Oh,
like
yeah.
terracing and things like that?
Really. When I was a young man, soil conservation people had a meeting down here at the schoolhouse. It was empty, but people used it for quite a while. And they gave a demonstration about soil conservation, one thing or another. And as a young man, I got interested in it. And I've been very conscious of soil conservation ever since. And in 1949, when our oldest child was born, we had a terrible sleet storm. Sleet just built up on the ground, for about 6 inches thick. And when it melted, it caused a lot of erosion. And that's what really started me on being conscious of soil conservation and trying to not keep my ground clean all the time where it would wash or blow, you know. And in fact, I have just this year leased my tillable ground and to people that are one of my requirements was that they no-till on account of conservation. And even at that, with all my being careful and trying to do it right, I've had, you know, erosion, you know, on that rolling ground especially. But I have been very conscious of it and trying to, you know, do it right. I used to, and still did, a lot of what they call not clean till, but can't think of the word right now. But it's like keeping trash on or stubble and stuff on top of the ground, you know, near as you could. So, yeah.
You use the county agent?
Oh yeah. Well, I haven't used the county agent much, but the county soil conservation people have used. And you know, the government has had run really good plan when they started participating in paying the farmers to make terraces and do a lot of different soil conservation things. That's one really smart thing that they did, and been really a wonderful thing. Help the farmers do all that.
Were you in 4-H or FFA in high school?
FFA.
FFA.
Yeah.
Betty Jo, were you involved with homemaker clubs or
Yeah, the extension club.
the extension? Did you?
Yeah.
Were you a member of a club?
Mm-hmm.
What was the name
It
of it?
was the Jet Extension Club at that time. Now, you know, they've changed their names since then. In fact, I'm not real sure what the name is right now.
Some kind
Because
of
I'm not in it
industrial.
anymore.
Industrial.
Industrial. Yeah. I'm not in it right now.
Well, let's back up a little bit. The farm was here during the Depression. Do you remember, or
Well, you know, I was.
you were young? But
I was when the worst of that depression would probably be one of us from 31 to 36 or somewhere right in that. Of course, I was just a kid. I had clothes to wear and food to eat, and I didn't care. You know?
yeah, that's,
But so I lived through that without any feeling of being deprived or anything.
so when you took over the farm, you were still doing wheat and cattle?
Yeah, wheat, cattle. And I, like I said, I leased the ground this year. I run the combine this year. And but I kept the cattle. I'm doing the cattle thing now. And I will as long as I can get my pickup and go see about it.
I was going to say it's retirement in sight, so no.
You know, I thought about if I'd retired when I was 65, you know, that would have been like 23 years ago. What would I have been doing in the last 23 years?
Tell them about your airplane.
Well, I don't know, you noticed our landing strip down here or not, did you
No,
know?
I didn't.
Well, Kim and I, was our son, we had built an airplane, experimental airplane they call them. They come in a kit, you know, like a model airplane, only this big. And we, the two of us made that. First flew it in 1980. And I've been, well, Kim hasn't flown it, but speak of for quite a long time. But I did up until just a couple of years ago, and I will again. Kim's we've had some motor trouble, and I didn't know how to fix it, but Kim's about got it ready to go again, so I'll fly it.
Well, you got your pilot's license when you were...
Yeah, I was 65 when I got my pilot's.
Good for you. Have you been up with him? Or is it a
Once.
It's a
Once.
One time, I said, I'll take you out to dinner, and that's what, so we flew down to Enid.
He came in and said, you want to go out for dinner? And I said, sure. And he says, okay. So we got in the car and he took me to the plane.
Well, we didn't, we walked to the plane,
I walked to the plane.
but anyhow,
Well, it wasn't out on the,
Had
I
to
guess
bribe
it was
her.
down here.
You just don't like doing it, or
nah,
No, it doesn't appeal to me.
she's, but,
I'm a what?
well, I'm not gonna say.
you'll keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah. I just didn't care that much for it at all, but
But
he
you know-
loves it, so.
In airplanes, when I was a little old kid, you never heard or saw an airplane around here, you know. But whenever I'd hear one, I'd run out of the house to watch it as far as I could see it. And I built little model airplanes, and then later on U-controlled airplanes, they call it. And airplanes always fascinated me. And so when Kim came home from school, you know, graduating from school and everything, he started saying, "Dad, let's make an airplane." I know. And finally I said, well, this one was kind of interesting. I said, you go out to the factories out in Idaho, look it over and fly and see the factory and the people. And so he flew out there and he come back and he said, "Dad, I think you'd like the airplane." So we ordered it. And it took us about 3 years to put it together just in our spare time, you know. It's it's a two-place airplane. And the name of it's Kit Fox. And it's a beautiful little airplane, really.
It's not about the Centennial Farm, but it's about him.
No.
That's what
And did you build that air
Landing strip.
landing strip on your property?
Oh yeah, I tried.
Well, so it's part of the farm.
Yeah,
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 it's out
yeah,
there.
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
It's on the west side. You can see it. It's got a windbag, you know, there.
And are you the only one that uses it, or do other ones
Well,
around?
no, there's other people landed there, you know.
One time we had a group that came in for
A little fly-in,
a little fly-in.
But I'd go to a lot of fly-ins. You know, all the flying I did was just go up 45 minutes or an hour, just around here on a pretty morning or an evening, you know, and go to fly-ins. That's, you know, I never, you know, it's just a pleasure, strictly that.
Gives you a different perspective of the farm too.
But I like to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
the topography of the farm, of the
Well, in
land,
fact,
you know.
they've
the way-
called him to go help look for cattle. He's gone to look for cattle.
Oh yeah, I never ever flew without looking over the land while I was here, while I was up, you know. Well, I say never, but almost always I'd just look around, just pleasure deal, you know. Take people up, took a lot of people up, you know, little short hops.
But 65, that's a,
Well, you know,
Yeah.
there's a little bit more to that story, I guess. When I was just a kid, my older brother, the one that was about 10 years older than he had a plane, and he taught me how to fly. I guess I was probably 17 or 18. And, but I only got a few hours in, and he sold the plane. And then I never did fly again or even was up until we built this plane. And I went down to and took my training. You have to have a pilot's license to fly this plane. And so,
I think that's pretty cool. I think
Yeah,
it's-
yeah. Well, I think it is too, really. I've got a book that I don't know how to get it, when you want to see it.
It's okay.
I met a man that I know in Helena. One time I was coming out of the cafe there, and he was just coming in, and you know, we knew each other, but not around each other much, but we knew each other. And I met him out there on the sidewalk, and he said, in 2 weeks, I'll be 100 years old. And I just popped off, said, "Well, Melvin, when you get to be 100, I'll take you flying." And he said, "Oh, okay." Well, you know, I just popping off and didn't think very much about that. And then later on, I saw him and I said, "Did you really want to go flying?" He said, "Yes, I did." So I said, "We'll go on your birthday." And he told me his birthday was on March 15th. So I called him up the day before and I said, "Melvin, we can go flying tomorrow." And he said, "Well, they got a lot of things planned for me." And I said, "Well, we can go in the morning." And so he drove out here from Helena, and he was 101, man. And he was driving, and he had his family with him. His son and daughter had to be in their late 70s or 80s, you know, but he was driving. And so we went up and we just flew down to his farm there, North Helene, and up the Gloss Mountains and the Cimarron River. Came back, and you know, he just so thoroughly enjoyed that.
How old were you?
Well, I was in my 80s, early 80s then,
So it's
and
80-year-old taking a 100-year-old.
and so he when he was 102, we did the same thing again, and that was always been one of the most enjoyable experiences I had with flying because of the uniqueness of the thing, you know. Mm-hmm. And the way he enjoyed it too. Just the whole family enjoyed it.
They trusted you to go with him, or him to go with you?
That's another thing that always surprised me. At my age and in an experimental airplane, that people, you know, I never did go around saying, hey, you want to go flying? I never did do that. Or I never did ask anybody to go up with me, you know.
Except when they come out to visit, and then you'd say to you,
Well, no, I didn't ask them to go, Betty. They just wanted to go. If they wanted to go, I was more than willing to take them. But I never was one to go around and say, hey, I got an airplane, would you like to go flying? I never did do that. But, and I had a lot of people, and I really enjoyed doing that.
Well, 100-year-old, that's pretty significant too. So you took over the farm in the 40s, and then the Social Security came into effect in the 60s. Did they have to twist your arm to do any of that?
Well, you mean to take the Social Security money?
I mean, farmers, I've heard, some didn't want to do it.
Well, you know,
others did, and
I didn't do that for 3 or 4 or 5 years. I don't remember how many, but I did it, and they paid me back. You know, doing I could have taken it 65. So no, I participated in the Social Security.
okay. Some farmers didn't want to, so
Yeah.
I'm just curious if.
That's according if they had any money or not, probably.
yeah, because they had a lot to do with it.
But well, you know, like I said, I waited a while, okay, but I finally decided, well, I might as well do it.
Well, you would have been in your 40s, I guess, when that program started up. So.
Oh, I don't know. Well, that started with Franklin Roosevelt, didn't it, back in...
Oh, earlier than that, then.
Did it?
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I think he's the one that started it.
Well, I noticed the house has a front porch. Do you have any favorite stories from memories of things that's happened on that front porch?
Oh, just us kids playing on it and sleeping out there in the summertime, you know, when it was really, really hot. We just had cots. We would sleep out there on the front porch because it was hot. In fact, when Betty and I, you know, we were married, we lived in the house here. There wasn't any air conditioning of any kind. And it was really hot in the summertime. And
Tell about the dust storms.
yeah.
True.
And the field right across the road from us blew so bad. Of course, we didn't have near as good windows as we do now. But I used a scoop shovel for a dustpan to clean up this room with.
And then we finally put sheets up, wet sheets up at the windows to keep it from coming in.
Yeah, we did that. So things have changed so much, you know.
Do you have a favorite room in the house?
Well, not until Betty and I built on the den, I guess. Well, I'll tell you, the opening there had doors that rolled back in the wall, and that was called the parlor at that time. They called them the parlors, and that was only for special occasions. The kids didn't go in there because Mother kept that. That was her parlor, you know. It had a piano in there, and I suppose some other furniture. I don't remember, but I can remember, you just didn't, the kids just didn't play in there, you know, that was, so I suppose this room, my kitchen,
Where would bath time be as a youngster?
where we're looking at.
Bath time be as a youngster?
Oh, Saturday night.
Where?
Where and where?
Well, you know, and I don't know why this was, but for some reason, even though the bathroom was there, and I don't know why, that I actually can remember taking baths in tubs, you know.
In the kitchen, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the kitchen. And,
where it was warm.
I don't know why that would have been that way. I thought about that, but evidently the plumbing wasn't that, I suppose.
Well, it didn't have heat in there either. There's a fruit fly.
No,
going
we didn't
around.
have the heat, but then probably didn't have hot water. I imagine that's probably the reason. And I think Mother just heated the water up, you know, on the stove.
And as the youngest, would you have to go last or first?
I don't remember.
Probably last, but.
Yeah.
Well, with the piano, did anyone take lessons?
Yeah, my sister did, but I never did, and I don't think any of the boys did. And I don't think, my sister's name was Jessie Mary. That was my mother, after my mother, and my grandma. There's the picture of the lady, there's grandma, that homesteaded the farm.
Okay.
And so Jessie Mary was named after my mother's name was Jessie, her name was Mary. And, but you know, when I was a kid, that would have been over 80 years ago, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have, you know, don't remember all.
Well, was music or radio
You know,
important at that time?
Radio, I can remember that I always listened to Little Orphan Annie, and on the radio we'd run home from school, turn on the radio and listen to those radio programs.
Jack Armstrong, the All-American.
Yeah, Jack Armstrong. And this house has been on fire three times. And we had a radio set right there between those two big windows. And you had to have an aerial on the radio, an outside aerial, you know, a wire that came in. And lightning hit that, brought it into the radio. And we were all upstairs sleeping. And it set that radio on fire and set the curtains on fire. And of course, Dad came down and put that out. And it really didn't, I don't think there's much danger of the house burning down because it is the curtains on fire and they just caught it real quick, you know. But another time, Sister Jessie Mary, just a young girl, and in the biggest bedroom upstairs had a closet, and she set that thing on fire, and it charred the wood about enough to trim, you know, that it blistered it. So it could have just went, you know. So
What'd she start the fire with?
I don't know, probably candle or matches or something, probably. But so, and then Dawn and I, when we were just kids, we got real bright, set the grass on fire out here when it was dead, and had a little cedar tree right by the house, which that's a no-no. Yeah, to put any kind of a cedar tree close to your house. And but it, you know, we got it out right away. It wasn't just.
Oh, how had you set it up? How did you do that? How did you and your...
Well, you know, I don't remember that either, but I can remember very plainly us burning. We thought we'd burn the yard off, you know.
Then also they've shot.
Yeah, well.
Doing all the
Yeah,
little
you know, with
stories.
5 boys raised here in the house and guns, you know, all us kids was in just hunting jackrabbits and geese or ducks, you know. And my brother, Earl, my oldest brother, had a shotgun go off in the kitchen, go through the window. They tell me about that. And then one time, I was in on this. I don't remember whether I was the one that did it or not. We had a rifle go off in this room here. And just, you know, boys being boys, messing with their guns.
I guess that would fall under the category fun.
Well, just, yeah, boys being boys, I guess, more than anything.
What were some other things you would do for fun, as you know, in your teenage and young adult years?
Oh, you know, I suppose well, I'll tell you one thing we did a lot. Just a quarter mile east of us, there was two boys, about the age of my brother, just older than I. And they were just about exactly the same age as we were. And we spent a lot of time playing with those two boys. They'd be down here, we'd be up there, we'd go fishing.
On horses, they had their horses.
Yeah, we had horses. And another thing we did a lot, just go up here at the corner, quarter mile, and go 2 miles south. There was a recreation place there that had a swimming pool, slide, diving board, tower, and a spring. And that was a recreation area for this part of the country. You know, they had Sunday school classes and reunions and over there on a Sunday and Saturday, you know. We go over there a lot. That's one of our big summer things. Go fishing over there, or swimming. And just a pool, we had a fence built around, wasn't very good. First people over there throwed out the frogs and the toads. And
You tell her about some of the things you made yourself, like that little wheel that you would push,
well,
and guns.
yeah,
that you
part of
made
our
with.
kids, you know, and just kids.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting how they used to make their own toys.
You may have seen these or heard it. Well, our loops, or hoops, were actually just iron. They were off of wagon wheels is what they were off of. You take a lat and put right across the end of it, and you'd roll those things around, you know. Then we'd make little ramps and stuff.
Stilts. You made stilts and
Yeah, stilts was one of the things we played with a lot. You know,
guns with the rubber,
um,
shoot rubber.
I don't know, whatever boys do. Snowball fights and stuff like that. Gourd fights. These gourds that grow around, you know.
What would you do? Just throw them at each
Yeah,
other?
throw them at each other and dodge, you know. And you'd have sides, you know.
Yeah.
And we did that a lot. Ride the horses, fish.
Didn't take a lot of expensive toys. that's
No,
for
no,
sure.
you didn't do that at all.
And the closest town was,
Well, we lived right between Jet and Helena. They're just about both, but Helena was a foreign country to me when I was a boy, you know. Jet was it. And I do, after, you know, I was married and buying hardware and different things, so I used Helena a lot, still do, still have down through the years. It's a little bigger town than Jet for us. They always had the time I got big enough, Jet had lost her hardware, but Helena had hardware and things like that. And I do a lot of, I have down through the years, still do, know people in Helena, do
And Cherokee.
business with people in Helena, you know.
where was the closest theater?
Well, Jet and Helena both had a theater at one time.
Oh,
And bowling alleys.
Yeah, Jet had a implement dealer and 2 grocery stores and a creamery and 2 pool halls and 2 barber shops and
A movie and a bowling alley.
yeah. But like all these towns,
Down to nothing now.
in fact, you know, Timberlake School now is a Jet and Helena. And Right now, they've got less people in them, and Jet and Nash were together at one time, Helene and Gold were together. Now it's all four of them, and the four of them together is not as big as Jet was by itself when I first started going there. They was putting in the dam up here, the last part of the dam, and there was 400 kids in the Jet school. I think they had 7 buses going around picking up the kids from a pretty big area, up north of River all the way down to almost Helena, towards Turkey and towards Nash. And it came from that to a 4 town together now, probably got 200 and some in the 4 schools. And they're going downhill.
And the churches are going downhill, all of
yeah.
them are. Nobody in there. The trouble with a lot of these little towns too, there's so much drugs coming, the drug people, a lot of them are coming out into rentals, cheap rentals, rented houses.
It's the economy, of course, that's what happened to all little towns. The all farm deal, people came down here and made that run, staked out 160 acres and thought they was going to make a living, and they soon found out they couldn't, and they just gradually fell off. And then when World War II come in, a lot of people went to Wichita and worked for aircraft people up there, and a lot of aircraft at Wichita. And they just never did come back. They'd sell the farms, and people couldn't make a living off of what. And they never really, they wanted to, but it never was, practical to try to make a living off a quarter.
And what kept you all here then?
Well, of course, Dad and about everybody else that was still here had enough land to where you think you could do it,
So I started with the 160. Do you have more than that now?
Well, I do, yeah. And Dad bought a lot of land, and I inherited some of that. And I bought a couple of places since then, and one of them, my son bought me out, but so he owns that, but I bought another place, and just make it viable enough,
So roughly how many acres are you managing these days?
I think we own about 880 acres. And it's more than half grass. Cattle has always been real important in my economic scheme.
How many head of cattle are you running?
Well, right now I've got about 140, but the last few years, the other person has owned the cattle, and I've just taken them in. And the way I do it, I get so much a pound for every pound I put on them. But I used to always own and buy my own cattle, But last few years, well, I don't have the help to really get them started, So for several years, I bought them big enough to where I didn't have to wean them and do all that stuff, So I didn't have that sickness. Then the last few years, I've just taken somebody else's cattle in, but I take care of them just like they're my own, I see about them. If any of them get sick, I doctor them and just take care of them. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm still doing that. That's what I want to do.
So describe a typical day for us today.
Well,
today doesn't count.
If you guys hadn't been coming today.
What would you be doing?
Well, the first thing I'd probably done would have been go and check the cattle. You always got to check the water, make sure the water's right, and you've checked the numbers, and then you check the health on them too, And if the number's right, if they're not, you look for a sick one or something that's out. And it's not a big thing to do, it's just something I really like to do as far as taking any energy or anything like that, because you're just driving around in your pickup,
Mm-hmm.
But 3 days ago, I spent a couple hours driving staples in the fence, I spend a lot of time now, not a lot of time, but quite a bit of my time just trying to do some things that around the house here in the farmstead that I wasn't doing otherwise, you know. Because I never did two things, the inclination and the time.
Do you keep up with the stock market and that type of thing for
Well,
cattle?
not on a day-to-day basis, no.
Okay. The weather?
Yeah, the weather and the markets, the cattle market, wheat markets, you know, and that sort of thing.
Betty Jo, what about you while he's out doing the farm work?
I'm a sewer.
Okay.
That's what I like to do. I have a sewing room upstairs that I just really enjoy being in. But the last week, our daughter in Enid teaches third and fourth grade, or she's teaching fourth grade this year. But anyway, she's wanted me to make curtains and little skirts for all of the tables, and so that's what I've been doing the last 2 weeks upstairs. But I usually like to sew whenever I can. I belong to a quilt group, and that's my big thing, quilting.
Well, when the kids were at home and he was working busier on the farm, did you have certain chores or things that you had to do while he was out?
Well, just keep up with them in the in-school activities, and I sewed for them. I made a lot of their clothes, a lot of their things that they had to have, and to keep up with just keep up with their activities. That's what I did while he was working out.
So we should back up and say, how many children do you have?
4.
Four.
We have 3 girls and a boy.
So you got to make a lot of pretty dresses.
Yeah, I did. I made a lot of formals and a lot of all kinds of things, really. And then I've also done a lot of craft stuff, you know, made dolls and clowns and all kinds of things. Pillows galore. That's just what I like to do.
Do you take them to the county fair?
I don't. I never did like competition. You know, I don't. I mean, I do it for pleasure or to give to somebody or to help somebody or gifts, but I didn't ever like the competition. I did for a little while now. That wasn't for me, so I didn't. That's one reason I quit the extension club after a while, because I thought it was too much. You know, everything was competition, everything, and that's not my thing.
Did you have a garden early on, and
Mhm.
do you still have one?
No, we don't now, but well, I had a big garden, yeah,
Did you?
and did a lot of, not more freezing, I think, than canning. I did some canning too, but I got to where I was freezing everything, so.
You were going to say something?
No, only that we did have a garden. We gave up on that. Oh, we did for quite a while, you know. But it takes quite a bit of time if you do it right, you know. The canning and keeping it clean. And just
It was fun while it lasted, anyway.
didn't want to do it.
And then I was in school a lot. I went to school after he, let's see, I'd go out and haul wheat in and get underneath the truck and read my lessons for the next day at college. And then I would go to school all day and then come home and do whatever we had to do around here, you know, to help with the harvesting and stuff. And then I went during the summers. I went to school. So, well, I was teaching. Then I taught for 7 years, and so I haven't had a lot of time to do too much. But I sewed in between all the time.
So you had some supplemental income from yours. Did you have a job off the farm too? That was always just the farm.
No, Betty.
And the
For a
80s
while there.
and the 80s were pretty tough. Was it tough?
Oh, yeah, terrible.
Well, you know, we didn't have crop insurance for a long time there. If you had a crop failure, and we had a lot of them there early on. You know, 55 and 56 was terrible drought, and then we had the bad hailstorms and real bad windstorms with rain, you know. And we had one storm. Well, is our first child was just a baby. It blew down our barn, blew all the doors off the building, and blew some trees down, and blew window, at least one window out. And then we had other time. We have a good wheat crop out there and get hailed, really bad. And you lost crops, and you didn't have any crop insurance. And when they come along with crop insurance, and I don't know how long ago that's been going on, but I took it right away, And so that's one insurance program that I'm ahead of, crop insurance.
Was there any time when you thought you might lose the farm?
No, I never did think about losing it. A lot of discouragement, though, you're discouraged. But a lot of borrowed money down through the years.
Well, how did you keep your records in the older days versus today? Has that changed much?
Well, Betty does a real good record keeping now. And I never was one to keep records like, in a book and like they're supposed to be, I guess. But really it didn't make any difference from the standpoint that I just didn't spend any money I didn't have to in the first place. And then when it come income tax time, I had the checks there, and just sort them all out and add them up and check them over with the bank statements and make sure everything balanced out. And make sure I had my numbers all right, and that was my bookkeeping. But it was honest and right, And
How had your father and your mother, how had they kept?
I don't know. That's before my
It didn't.
remembrance.
Okay.
His dad died when he was a senior in high school.
Yeah, somewhere right in there, Betty.
Yeah, it was.
Like I said, he had Bryce disease, which is a disease now they wouldn't even put you in the hospital for because of an infection. They didn't have anything to knock it out, but he suffered with that for quite a long time. And that's a difference too. Just like, I don't know where Betty and I'd be health-wise without having, all the surgery and medicine they got now, Probably both of us would probably been gone, I imagine.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
Speak for
I
yourself.
probably would. I might, we both might be here, but I don't know. Been taking medicine, you don't know. Strokes and heart attacks, you got medicine now to help you prevent those, so how do you know?
Well, you mentioned church a little bit earlier. Was that a big part of your life?
Very
Yeah, our
big.
Christian faith has been
Still
a
is. Yeah.
real big part of our lives, been a big part of our family, been a big part of the way we've raised our family, been a big part of the way our kids have turned out. And they're all Christian, and their families are Christian. And we love them, they love us, they love one another. And it's our spiritual lives been very important to us.
Everybody met around the table for mealtime?
Well, we don't anymore, but we used to.
Yeah, when the children were
When
young.
the kids was young,
Oh, yeah, always.
we'd say grace, And of course, whenever we have any kind of festivities going on here at home, we'll say grace around like Thanksgiving and Christmas and different times, And they do when we go to their house. And not necessarily saying grace, it's more just of a prayer.
I was going to say, it really wasn't.
A prayer of thanks and for the family and for life. And Betty and I have been so blessed a lot of times without realizing it, But looking back, we can see that. Blessed with family.
Lots of grandkids.
Yeah, 7 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren.
10 grandchildren, 7 great-grandchildren.
We haven't got 10 grandchildren, have we?
I think so.
I don't
Name
know,
them
I
off.
think it's 7.
Yeah.
But the great-grands keep it popping up all the time.
Well, anyway, when we get together, there's 25 of us.
No, more than that, buddy. There's 32. Yeah, there is. Count 'em.
I only
I'm
counted
counting 'em.
25.
In there in the picture.
I'm the one that gets the meals. I think it was 25.
No, there's 32 of us now.
Are any of them interested in staying on the farm? Just keeping
No,
with
really.
it?
Our son, he's got a job and he's got a business too. He's holding down 2 things, and he would like to, but right now he just doesn't have the time. I think probably when, when Betty and I are gone, and he gets retired, he'll probably want to do that. He wants to, and in a way, I've kind of discouraged him on account of it would be, he lives not so far away, but like all my machinery is old. It's supposed to outlast me, but I outlasted it. It's all old and wore out, and he'd have to buy a lot of new machinery, and then the time involved, and he's busy, really busy all the time anyhow. So if he'd drive over here and do that, see about the cattle, it'd really be a burden, I feel like. So that's the reason I discouraged him, but he wanted to. I'd like to see him do it someday,
But they all have new homes except, one daughter would like to have this one whenever we're gone. So we have one that wants it anyway, but we hate to see it go downhill after we're gone. So I hope somebody comes, because wouldn't take them long once you're out of them. They just,
Are you going to plan for that, or just let?
Well,
Chance
I've
take-
thought a lot about
well,
it.
we've got it. She's the only one that has said to everybody that she would like to have it, so. The rest of them have new homes, they can't just, that's the way they wanted to build and where they wanted to build them, so you can't do anything about it.
Christmas and holidays will still be here then, more than likely.
That's what she thought. And her boys, she has 3 boys that love to come out here. In fact, when my folks died, they have a house in Jet, and they bought that house, those boys did, so that they would have that to come out and go hunting. And so they come out and go up there, and then they'll come visit us, every time they come. But that's why I think she'd really like to have it, so that she can keep all this for the boys. So they come out a lot.
How do you keep up with new government programs?
For what? For the farm, you mean?
For the farm?
Well, they've changed they've done away with direct payments, and now it's just about all you have to do really is, your insurance. Of course, you have to go to the county office, some couple, 3 times a year, and that's about all it amounts to now. But from a soil conservation point, I've kept up with that, and I've worked with them all the time, and so I've been involved, especially with the agriculture office. Everybody just calls the agriculture office, and yeah, you have to go over there and make your reports and sign a lot of papers, and all that. I've always participated in that, because one thing, you got to have the insurance,
You mentioned earlier that one of your requirements for a new renter was doing no-till.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on no-till farming?
Well, my interest in it really is from a soil conservation point. And it looks to me like it's probably you're going to see more of it all the time. And one of the reasons too there is kind of the help. You know, we used to have boys up in high school that's looking for summer jobs, you know. And you'd hire some boys to help you during the summer. And this way, I didn't never have the machinery for no-till because it's very expensive, you know. And but one man, just like they take these big sprayers, go out like the people I lease to, they got a sprayer that takes 120 foot in one swath. Well, they can go out and do 1,000 acres in a day, you know. Instead of taking a tractor and going out there and trying to till 1,000 acres and take 2 or 3 weeks, they can go out there in one day and do it by themselves without any help. And that's the thing that's driving, one of the big things that's driving no-till is that. In fact, that's the big thing that's driving it. That's even over soil conservation, because a lot of people, they don't do soil conservation. They just are not as concerned as they should be about erosion and stuff, you know. But a lot of people are concerned, but that's what's driving no-till. And they do those, like the drills and stuff, do a really good job. You know, they got that GPS in them. And have you ever noticed how straight those lines are? And the spacing, like, they go like 60 foot. And you know, you want your drill spacing just about so. When they lap, they don't lap over, they don't do this. That's just the same. You wouldn't know one around the next. They're great.
In other words, he loves it. He thinks he would.
Are a lot of your neighbors going no-till?
Well, one of them is. That's close by. That's the only one I know of. But like I said, these boys, I rented the canola to them land last year. I did the wheat, but they put the canola in for me a year ago and this year both. And they did that with their big no-till deal. And well, I don't know how you noticed it. The canola stubble out here now. Did you? I don't know. You probably didn't notice. But see, it's covered up pretty well right now with volunteer canola, and the canola stems, the stalk is still left there. Well, that's no-till. They leave that stuff there, and it won't wash nor blow as near as bad. It won't blow at all, and it won't wash anywhere near as bad. And but that's the reason I told them we're strictly no-till, and that's what they wanted anyhow, because that's the equipment they got, you know. And the reason they got that equipment, they can do so much. They farm lots of acres. I don't know how much acres they farm. A lot of them, getting more all the time. But people like me quitting, you know.
Do you maintain the mineral rights for the?
Yeah, we did.
We do. Any luck there?
Well,
Yeah,
that's you know, I got that place that I bought, but I only got 40 acres of mineral rights on that, like it's 160. And they drilled a well on it. But it's just a mediocre well. And like right now, we're getting about $300 a month off of that. And I told, and we had another place, the place leased 160. Well, in fact, in the early 1970s, they came in here and drilled a whole lot of just vertical gas oils. There wasn't any oils to be covered off. And they never were exciting thing, and they just kept producing them. Like we was in on 4 or 5 wells. One of them, they'd have to go for 6 months before they generate enough money to even pay you. And some of them as low as $2.50 a month, you know. And it's the last year, you might say, well, they've closed those in. And, but they started drilling these horizontal wells. And we had one place over here leased, and they let it go. I mean, they just let it play out, Didn't renew it. I told Betty, I said, well, it looks like they've just missed us, we're going to miss it. And then it wasn't 2 or 3 weeks till Sand Ridge, which is a big company around here, they called and wanted to lease that land for a big price. And since then have drilled 2 wells on it. They're not in production yet because
They just finished.
So, in all probability,
And they got 2 more staked
there's
out.
going to be some wells there. But we don't know what it's going to be like. But it doesn't look like they're going to miss us. So, but it wouldn't make any difference. Betty and I had $10 million in the bank. It's not going to make any difference to us in our lifestyle, not one bit. In fact, we've already given a lot of that away that we got for the lease. And so it's not going to make us any difference.
Has the drilling in Alfalfa County helped a lot of people?
The what now?
Has the drilling in
Oh,
Alfalfa
yeah,
County helped a lot of people?
It's poured money in here. So
Yeah,
some of the wells are really good. Some of them are just mediocre, And once in a while they hit one, not very good at all. But Alfalfa County. It's the northern part of the county, and even around Cherokee and out. Well, of course, Alva's in Woods County, but yeah, it's poured a lot.
But they're coming in now, coming up from all ways, and they're really going to be a lot of them.
Have
you
you
can go to Cherokee there and it's like to eat the Pizza Hut or something. You just sitting there while you're eating. They might be 15, 20 or more oil-related trucks go by. Most of them tankers.
have you noticed any earthquakes?
Oh, have we?
Yes. In fact, just what day before yesterday morning? No, it's evening, 9:45. That it's in the paper today that it was a 4-point, and that's the ones that are anytime it gets up to 4. But it was when it hit. I was upstairs sewing, and El was taking a shower, so he didn't even know it happened. But I looked real quick to see what time it was. It was 9:45, and sure enough, it was in the paper then yesterday that it was a 4-point when it was at 9:45. But it just rumbled for longer than the others that I've heard. It rumbled for quite a while. Did you feel it at Stillwater?
Not the one the other night.
We've had a few in the last several months
Yeah.
though that rattle.
Well, that one the other night, well, it rumbled it longer than most of them. But anyway, I don't know what they're going to do. And this one in the paper today, it said that cracked some guys' walls. So I think we're going to have some reports of stuff from now on, I think. But I don't know whether it's from the oil. Of course they think it is, but I was telling Neil, why haven't they had those earthquakes in Texas has more oil than we do, don't we? Doesn't it?
I was just thinking about, wouldn't it be terrible, if it damaged this house enough like you couldn't get your doors open or something like that, all the doors in the house would be, maybe crack the windows or the walls or something, It'd just be terrible. Not only this house, it'd be, everybody's.
This one stood 100. Gonna go another 100.
Yeah, the sidewalk out there on the sidewalk, it says 1916. But I got curious about, when the house was actually built. And so I want, this used to be Woods County at one time. Alfalfa County was Woods County. So I went over to the courthouse in Alva and I asked him about it. What, the records, and they said the earliest record they had on this house was 1914. So that's what I'm calling it, built in 1914.
What are some of the remaining structures still on the farm today?
Well, about everything you see, really. And I don't know when they was built, because they were here. Like I said, I built the barn and the shed, but then we lost the old barn. And there was an old hen house, we call it, made out of blocks, was here at one time. I tore that down. And but the rest of the buildings, I just try to keep from falling down, you might say.
I noticed a windmill was roughly how old it might be.
Yeah, it's written out there on the, but the windmill, the fan is ruined, which I regret. But what happened to that big old tree grew up in it. And the fan, the tail on the windmill is what keeps them, you know, into the wind or out of the wind so they won't run. And the tree grew in that tail, and it kept the from swiveling around. In a high wind, that tail will swivel those windmills out of the wind, you know, where they won't turn. Well, it caught in the trees, and then like we have these terrible storms where you know, it's have a temporary wind, maybe 60 or 70 miles an hour, and that fan trying to get out of those trees and tore it all up, and I regret that always. But out here on this, Mother's Riding is out there. I know it's Mother's Riding out there in the cement, and I think it's 1912 when they put that windmill in.
You've also done some work to restore or to preserve some of the buildings out there. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, all I've done really is just try to just not let them deteriorate, you know.
Are they wrapped in aluminum, or were they wrapped?
Well, the buildings,
Just the
well, that's what they call corrugated steel, you know. And the old house out here, there's been metal put on that, you know, since it's been built. And metal on the roof. And that was all before my time. But
We have the structure, the 50-year structure certificate for the outbuilding. Yeah.
For a chicken house, I think, was one, wasn't it? A chicken house?
Yeah, that was
Wash
the
house.
hen. That was the hen
Oh,
house
the
he was
hen one.
talking about. Yeah.
But you know, there's one house is what they call a chicken house, and the one old building down there was a granary. At one time it had bins all the way through. I took a lot of those out and just used it for one time. I used it for a shop, and the other was just a storage building. And then this one. This garage right straight east of the house here was a garage, you know. And then I was the one that made this into a garage, which I shouldn't have done. You know, I should have kept it like it was.
That was the original house he's talking about. He
And,
made into a garage so that
but,
it would still be there.
But I just always thought I'd want to build tear these down. A lot of them build a big barn, but I never did. But I did keep them up.
Was there a cellar?
Yeah, well, yeah, there was at one time. A cave, we call it a cave.
Okay.
And in my young life and my ignorance, I filled it in with dirt.
There's a
Yeah,
one room basement here. There's one basement under
Yeah,
there.
that's
Well, that's where you go if there was a tornado. Would you head there?
oh yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the only 2 or 3 times that we've ever went to it. Betty would go to it, but I don't get excited about it much. That time we had that terrible storm where it blew down the barn and tore the doors off and blew down trees. Why, it was just so bad that I wanted to get out of it, you know. I came up. It lasted quite a long time. I come up and just run out and look at it, and I could see little twisters up in the sky. 3 or 4 of them, you know. Just small. They never did come down. I think it was a strong wind, and it completely ruined the wheat. It was on May the 20th, 1949, and it just, it just flattened everything. And that was a real bad one. We've had some tornadoes around, but not close to the house. And but we've had a lot of bad windstorms, and you probably didn't notice, but after the leaves are gone, all these old trees are old, and they're really mangled up if you really look close. Great big limbs out of them, that big around, and I still carry limbs out. They're in really bad shape, but they look good now. They got a lot of foliage on them with the weather.
They look pretty.
I planted a few trees, nothing like I should have had because I don't know why really, but we've got 3 maples out here along the road that are nice, and a couple of mulberries out here. And there's one old cedar tree on this farm that I know is older than I am. Still got one cedar tree. And we got a couple of lilac bushes I know that's at least as old as I am or older. They're still here. But the trees, they're all Chinese elms. Now there's most of them, And they're old. I think my brother just older than I. And I'm not sure, that's not written in concrete anywhere, but I think we planted those when we were just kids, like 14, 15, 16 years old. And that's the reason they're all about the same size and all about, same age. So.
Well, you pull up and it looks quite homey and inviting.
Good.
Yes. Has that good feel about it.
Well, thank you.
Good. Thank you. He just put a flower garden out there for the first time too, in front of that old.
Yeah, before you ladies leave, I'd like, the rain leaves, I'd like for you to go down this little garage. I've got the original old little cabinet that was in Grandma's dugout down there. And you see that. And you can look at the original homestead certificate. And
Well, it is a rainy day on the farm. Typically on a rainy day, what would you do if we weren't here?
At my age, I'd
No.
probably be in the house.
Well, back when you were
Oh, I don't know.
always something to do
You know,
on the farm.
I would, if
think.
it was raining, bad, I would probably be in a shed or be in the house probably, I don't know. And I never was one to spend any time uptown. But
He's really not wanting to stay in the house either.
No, I won't stay in the house, I'll do something, but I never was one to go uptown a whole lot. I do some, did some, but not very much.
He'd probably be working in the shop on something.
Yeah, I'd be doing something,
He'd,
I don't know what.
he'd be busy.
But
He can't stay in
You
here
know.
very long.
sometimes I watch television, quite a bit. Sometimes we'll go almost all day if I'll ever turn television on.
We
Yeah.
can't find anything on it anyway that we like.
I can remember when we got our first television. Can you girls remember when we didn't have television?
I can remember when it was black and white, but
Yeah,
not when
I
we didn't have
remember
one.
when we had a little tiny thing that about like that.
I can remember when we got it. And it was, it had to be, I think, around 51 or 2. And Eisenhower was running for president. It was just about the time they were having their conventions, And I was pretty fascinated with that. Because I liked Ike. I watched that. And you couldn't get television most of the time except of the evening. The rest of the time it would just snow.
Static, yeah.
Static and snow. And you had to have an outside aerial. And
Talk about change. That's where your
Yeah.
change is. There, really.
telephones, cell
Yeah.
phones. It's ridiculous. Unbelievable.
Do you keep a cell phone with you?
I got one, but the simplest one I can get. All I want to know how to do is say hello, or I'm going to punch in the numbers when I want to call somebody.
We've had.
Betty, she's got the.
I've got the iPhone.
She's got the one.
Yeah.
Technology's grand in a lot of ways, and,
It
and
is.
not so
It
much in
is.
others.
You're right. Especially when your grandkids come and all they do is sit there like this. I don't like that.
Yeah, that telephone deal, the cell phone.
They're not as bad now as they were. Yes, they used to be though.
But they're unbelievable, really, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
They really are.
Amazing.
So when you reach 100, your son will have to come take you up in the airplane.
I don't know.
Well, he's got pretty good health for an 88-year-old man.
We'll come back and watch.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's just something you don't know. Really don't have any idea.
Been a good life though,
Yeah, but Betty and I
my,
have
yeah.
been a blessed
Right.
life. That's all there is to it.
and it all
We-
started right above us.
Hmm?
And it all started right above us.
I believe it. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
in
when
the,
our
in the
morning.
bedroom.
Well,
Both,
we,
both ways. I know what you're thinking.
Yeah,
that
right.
too.
Yeah, you can look at it both ways.
but,
No, we can't believe.
well, you know,
that-
we've had some really bitter disappointments, and
We've had two son-in-laws die. We've got 4 girls and 2 of their husbands died. So.
and I lost my brother taught me how to fly. He died at 47, and you know that really hurt because we slept together. We were in same bedrooms, and he taught me how to fly. Because he could fly, there's enough difference in the age of us, you know, that I looked at him as a big brother that knew how to fly, you know. And he was always just really good to me. Where you're more, the kids, boys, you're more your age, you're more
Competitive and
yeah,
stuff.
well, you know,
Competitive, she's right. Yeah.
but it was just a matter of age, you know. But that really hurt. And our youngest daughter lost her husband, and little girl, 4 years old, one that's 11 months old, and just one of those damn things, you know, and that really, really hurt.
Just dropped dead.
Well, so
Heart attack.
we've had those kind of things, you know, happen to us.
But we've wondered now. Here we are, this long, and we just now could have some money with oil wells. But that's all right. I mean, we don't. Like he said, we wouldn't change anything anyway. So we'll just give it to the kids, or give it away. Give it away.
Yeah, I don't know how many different charities we give to every month, but it doesn't make any difference.
Well, do you want to make it?
We'll close up. If there's nothing
See
else
the
that you,
house?
if there's nothing else you want to add, we'll sign off and
Well,
and thank you
if
very
you
much.
girls or you ladies rather want to see that,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like for you to.
Yeah, she just wanted to know if there's anything else we wanted to say
Oh,
before
I
they
don't
turn
know.
the.
I guess not about ourselves. We talked about ourselves too much already.
It's been a pleasure, though. I'm glad. Thank you for sharing with us.
You're welcome.